everyone has heard it, more is caught than taught.
Yes, yes.
So you can teach your children and teach your children, but unless they see the example lived out, you know, it's not going to really make a difference in their life. So you talk in the book that when you saw these different, you know, their belongings when they left behind, and then you saw them out, and maybe they went through some difficult times, and you saw how what they learned in their home made all the difference in the world. Talk a little bit about that, because we want to think our children are perfect, but none of them are. We're all going to face challenges.
Well,
you know, we're all, except for Laurie. But we're all going to face challenges. I think that's the worst thing for a mother, don't you? Is that you want to carry your children around just on a little silver platter and don't let them get hurt. But you know, that's part of our growth.
It really is, and what you actually do want is that they're going to go through some of that under your roof, where you do get to be a shelter for it. So you don't want all of their experiences with hardship or heartbreak. It's one reason I had some friends that just they said, you know, I don't want my kids to date until so-and-so. Keith and I felt differently about it. We felt like, no, I want them to start dating in my home, where I am able to be there around some of the dynamics that go with it. I don't want them to have launched and then they're going to start having relationships. We need to negotiate some of that in the safe place of our home. But I will tell you this, Victoria, there was no expectation for my kids to be perfect, and there's of course not for any of us, but mine had very, very imperfect parents. And I want to say this because somebody really needs to hear this today, lest you have an idea of something that our home might have been like that would not have been accurate. Keith and I both came from a very dark place, both families with deep struggles. He came from tragedy. He and his brother were in a house fire when they were little bitty boys, when Keith was just 2 and his brother was 3 1/2, and his brother did not live. And I come from a background where in my home there was a lot of instability, very, very unhappy marriage for my parents. And I come from a background of sexual abuse underneath the roof of my home. So I don't get more specific than that, but it's very traumatic. And so all of this moved into the same home together. And of course it did, because baggage attracts baggage. And I mean, Keith and I, all it took was that he was very handsome and he had a lot of baggage. And so we were, I thought, that is it, that is my guy. And so one of the things that he told the kids, this is when they were grown, but he said when they were young adults and they were launching, he said to them, and it just as dryly, I wish I could do it just exactly like he did, he said, "You're both going to need counseling because of your mother and I." And he said, "When you do, I just want you to know that your father will pay for it." But it was, so that was us. That was us. So I can tell you, they way outdid their parents. They did much better than we did. And I think to never lose sight of the fact that nothing is too difficult for God.
God's
nothing.
in control.
That he. I remember Keith, I've heard Keith tell this so many times that we had really asked God. We felt so messed up that we thought, well, maybe by the 3rd or 4th generation, it'll be better in our family. I mean, that is how wrecked we felt. And, you know, then to see our children not make some of the same poor choices that we made was such a beautiful thing, because we got to see, oh my goodness, he did it so much earlier than we believed him to. He's performed miracles. And you know, for us, we did not have the luxury of acting like we had it all together, because Keith and I, between us, we had difficulties and we had problems. So they weren't getting raised in a vacuum of perfect stability. They could see that there were a lot of difficulties that we were navigating in our own marriage. And one of the things that I just think, and I'm just wondering who might be watching or listening that needs to hear this, that gets to speak into the lives of families. One of the things that I find frustrating sometimes is that we'll have family conferences, and they'll be primarily about like how to have the best family devotions. Now, please don't misunderstand me. I'm so glad y'all are laughing. I didn't know if this would be offensive, but you know, I'm going like, family devotions? We're trying to stay married till the weekend. Can anybody go with me there? I mean, like, what do you mean? I mean, I would have liked to have had that. Right. That wasn't our dynamic. We were trying to survive. And you know what I realize now that I did not realize raising my family, because Keith and I were messed up enough to have to live very honestly. I'm thinking that we are the only ones that are messed up like this, because nobody else seems to be owning up to it. Well, I find out later, you know, they were nearly as messed up as we were. Every now and then I'll come back to Keith and go, you know what? They looked down on us, and they had the same problems that we had, but we felt so indicted by them. And to just get out from under that, and golly, you will not make it in your parenting if you don't believe in grace. How will we make it? Oh my goodness.
True.